Group A, the first game of match day 2. Scotland 1, Switzerland 1. A result that keeps Scotland's Euro 2024 campaign alive, and Switzerland puts them in a modestly comfortable position to finish second in this group, heading into the last game against Germany. So some thoughts on this match. I thought that Scotland's defense was actually only marginally better than the Germany game, but the reason that they were not so dominated was because they took a more proactive offensive approach in this game. Big shock when Scotland plays better up front, when they push the line up the pitch and play their recent goalkeeper above the central defensive midfielder role, they perform better. I think that the manager last week with Germany got it wrong. Steve Clark, with the numerous mistakes they made at the back. This here, Scotland being under more pressure to go out and get a result, it kind of forced their hand to take the game to Switzerland, and I think that assertiveness really helped them in this match. It wasn't so much an improved defensive performance because, let's face it, Switzerland don't have the offensive firepower that Germany has. I think the credit here for Scotland really comes from up front, not at the back, for this improved upon result. And case in point, the one goal from Switzerland in this game comes from an error at the back through Ralston that leads to Shaqiri's strike. If that doesn't happen, if there's not that mishap, potentially you're looking at a Scotland lead going into the half. We could be looking at a completely different complexion to this game. So, yeah, it wasn't really that much of an improved defensive performance. I will though say up front, as much credit and praise as I'll give for Scotland in the attack, I don't know what this team sees in Che Adams. I think that as a solo striker for Scotland, he's so bad. I don't think he really offers them any hold-up play on the ball, and he just seems like he just runs around a lot. The game was there for the winning for Scotland. Steve Clark waited until around the 88th or 89th minute to make attacking subs, given that Adams and McGinn weren't really doing that much. And I thought that they briefly collapsed a bit after Ralston's mistake. You could tell for the remainder of the first half, after Switzerland equalized, that Scotland, it was like the air had been let out of the balloon. There was a complete momentum shift towards the Swiss, and Switzerland had a good opportunity to strike again and take a 2-1 lead heading into the half. Scotland will feel fortunate, however, that 2 Swiss goals were overruled. One was an offside in this game. Scotland themselves, though, on the receiving end of a little bit of bad luck. You also had an effort that struck the post late on that would have been the winner and send the stands in Cologne into raptures. So, on the whole, who did I think was the better team on the day? I actually thought Scotland slightly, even though Switzerland had a few of the better chances going forward. But what I'll say is that it's a good result. If Scotland wants to beat Hungary, keep doing what you're doing from this game, but you got to shore up shop at the back. The defense is a real liability. Another thing I'll add is that Gilmour, I think, is a wonderful player. It's not really a coincidence that Scotland played better with him in the team. Their right side is very weak, and better teams than Switzerland would have exploited that weak link for what it was. And talking about the Swiss, they were actually poorer compared to Saturday with their victory over Hungary, and better teams than Scotland would have beaten them today. I think towards the end, both teams seemed relatively gassed, and I think Switzerland knew that with the point going to 4 points, they would basically have 1 foot in the next round. That's a really bad miss, though, from Amdouni. The header from a free kick, he has to, at the very least, get that on target, and that should be in the back of the net, in all honesty. Switzerland could have booked passage today to the round of 16. But it seemed like, for the most part, Switzerland between the beginning of the second half to about the 70th minute mark or so, Switzerland showed a little bit less initiative, and the second half, for the most part, really started to come alive towards the last quarter of the match. And, you know, it's looking like Switzerland have done enough to defy the doomsdayer predictions like the one I had for them crashing out in the groups, but I'm still not sold on this team. I still think, for the most part, they've not shaken off that funk that they brought with them entering in this tournament, that they carried into from the latter end of qualifying. I think this is still a worse Switzerland team than in past tournaments that we've seen. And I would not really peg them to go further than the round of 16. If they are able to replicate their quarterfinal run, that would be an enormous victory, considering the circumstances. And last thing I want to say is I'm glad that UEFA gave Scott McTominay back his goal. It was originally ruled an own goal from Fabian Schär, but it seems that they corrected that error. Wonderful build-up play from Scotland that deserved a goal. I think it was one of the best goals of the tournament so far. Great team goal. So Scotland's on the score sheet now. And all to play for in match day 3.